Hi everyone, welcome to today's video. We are going to be learning about seasonal affective disorder, what it is, what it means, and what you can do to combat those winter blues. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. Here at Nexus, we discuss different mental health and wellness topics each month and are all about learning, thriving, and serving the community. So let's get started. So today's presentation is broken down into 3 parts. Understanding what seasonal affective disorder is, how it relates to us, and what we can do when we experience this. So part 1 is understanding seasonal affective disorder. Through this presentation, I will be referring to it interchangeably as seasonal affective disorder and SAD, as that is the acronym for this disorder. So what is SAD? Seasonal affective disorder, which is oftentimes nicknamed winter depression, is a type of depression that comes and goes in a seasonal pattern. Some of you might recognize this as being labeled seasonal depression. Now, some individuals have experienced symptoms of SAD in the summer months, although it's most notably reported in the fall and winter. Seasonal affective disorder impacts approximately 5% of the United States adult population. However, it's estimated that millions of Americans experience SAD. Although many may not know that they have this common disorder, whether that's due to lack of available mental health services or lack of knowledge of mental health in general. The experience of seasonal affective disorder can last for about 40% of the entire year. And the hardest months are usually reported as being January and February. So for those of you who do struggle with seasonal affective disorder, it's likely that right now is a pretty difficult time for you. Seasonal affective disorder is also reported most commonly in women. Although do keep in mind, women are more likely to seek out mental health services than men are. And so there is a high likelihood that men's experiences of SAD are going underreported. So what causes SAD? While the exact cause isn't quite known, what researchers have found is that it happens more when we get less sunlight, mainly in the fall and winter. The following are a list of reasons that we think might be the cause of seasonal affective disorder. The first one is related to our sleep hormone called melatonin. Melatonin is regulated by sunlight, and in people with seasonal affective disorder, they start to produce too much melatonin. And when we produce too much melatonin, we increase feelings of sleepiness, fatigue, exhaustion, and overall low energy. The next one is our production of serotonin. Serotonin is also affected by the amount of sunlight that we get, and it's a mood hormone. When we have less sunlight, our serotonin levels are lowered, which can make people feel more down and experience more depressive symptoms. The other thing is our circadian rhythm. This is our body's internal clock. So our internal clock is set by environmental cues, the biggest one being sunlight. In the winter with less sunlight, this clock can get off track, causing changes in sleep and mood. So making us more sleepy because it gets dark earlier, and it's also dark throughout the day, which can leave us feeling low energy and lethargic, also decreasing our mood and causing more depressive symptoms. The last thing I'm going to touch on is genetic factors. So seasonal affective disorder seems to run in families, suggesting that genes may have a say in who does and doesn't develop this condition. What this means is that your family history could make you more likely to experience seasonal affective disorder. So to summarize, less sunlight can mess with our sleep, mood, and internal clock, especially in the darker months. and for some people, it may be linked to their family background. So part 2 is, how does this apply to me? This slide is showing symptoms connected to seasonal affective disorder. And what you might be seeing is that these look a lot like depression symptoms. And so one of the things that we're looking for is, does this happen in a seasonal pattern? Also keep in mind, this list is not enough for a diagnosis, and trying to diagnose yourself with seasonal affective disorder is not recommended. The symptoms that you see are things that you might relate to, and if they fit your personal situation, then it's a good idea to talk to a professional for help. Also, seasonal affective disorder can begin at any age, but typically starts between the ages of 18 and 30 years old. Common symptoms include depressed mood, loss of interest or joy in previously enjoyed activities, appetite changes, sleep changes, typically sleeping too much, low energy, fatigue, slowed speech or movement, difficulty concentrating or making decisions, and thoughts of death or suicide. Also, I really want to touch on this because it's a very important thing. If you or somebody you know is struggling with suicidal thoughts, please contact 988, the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. Go to your local emergency room or crisis center, or dial 911. For those of us in Amador County, you can also contact the 24-hour crisis line. So now that we know what the symptoms are, what comes next? Some of you might be thinking that this is something you've gone through or are going through, and are probably wondering, how is this diagnosed? So a diagnosis of seasonal affective disorder can be made with a qualifying mental health professional, such as a psychiatrist, which is a medical doctor who specializes in mental health, psychologist, professional clinical counselor, marriage and family therapist, clinical social worker, and other forms of mental health and medical health professionals. So now we've reached part 3 of the presentation. What can I do about it? So a meaningful life is still possible even in the face of seasonal depression. And in part 3, we're going to be talking about what we can do to combat seasonal affective disorder. So in terms of getting help for this condition, there's a few methods, and we're going to be talking about 3 for this presentation. The first being light therapy, then psychotherapy, and lastly, lifestyle changes. So light therapy is a type of therapy that tries to mimic exposure to natural sunlight through the use of a bright light. Light therapy is thought to affect brain chemicals like melatonin and serotonin, which helps to ease the symptoms of SAD. While light therapy can be administered at home, it is recommended to talk to a mental health professional or your primary care physician before attempting to do so. This is also recommended before attempting to do any sort of treatment at home. The professional can also offer resources, support, and guidance on how to most efficiently use this type of therapy. What you can typically expect from an appointment with a mental health professional is first meeting with them for assessment and diagnosis. Then they decide if light therapy is appropriate, and they'll prescribe a light box, instruct the person on how to use it, for how long, and they'll monitor your progress over time. And like I said, this is something that can be done at home. So after talking with your mental health professional or with your primary care physician, there are ways to be able to do this on your own. Dr. Sawchuk of the Mayo Clinic recommends using a 10,000 lux light box or lamp within the first hour of waking up for about 20 minutes. The following is a direct quote from Dr. Sawchuk in his video on light therapy. He says, "You want to make sure that the light is sitting about an arm's length or so in front of you. You don't have to stare directly at the light, but you want to keep your eyes open. So you could be doing things like having breakfast or a cup of coffee, watching TV, or working online. The next one is psychotherapy. So therapy often helps people with seasonal affective disorder by addressing emotional and mental aspects of the condition. It teaches practical strategies to deal with sad and things that accompany it, like low energy and mood swings. It also explores the reasons behind negative thoughts and helps individuals create positive routines. Psychotherapy helps to build resilience, reduce stress, and offer support to manage seasonal affective disorder effectively. Overall, it's a hopeful tool to understand emotions, cope better, and improve well-being during seasonal changes. Another thing to keep in mind is this can be an individual therapist or this can take place in a group with people who are also going through the same thing. And so there's different ways to make sure that psychotherapy supports you in the best way. So this slide is a list of practical tips for combating seasonal affective disorder, and I'm just going to go through these with you now. So the first suggestion is spending more time outdoors and getting your daily dose of vitamin D. We get vitamin D from exposure to sunlight, and when we're spending time outside, we're increasing that exposure and connecting with nature. It's a great opportunity to also engage in meaningful activities, such as meditation, mindfulness, hiking, or just enjoying your morning cup of coffee outside. The next suggestion is getting a journal to document and manage negative thoughts and feelings. These things often accompany depressive symptoms, and so being able to document that and challenge those negative thoughts and feelings is going to be able to help you over the long term. Another suggestion is rearranging your office or house furniture to maximize sun exposure. So moving your desk closer to a window, or maybe opening up the blinds and putting your couch where it'll get the most direct sunlight. Increasing the amount of direct sun exposure you receive throughout your day helps to manage your levels of serotonin and melatonin and boost your mood. Resist unhealthy eating and avoid drinking alcohol. So it's important when you're going through a hard time to be kind to yourself. And one of the ways that we can do this is by watching what you put into your body. Unhealthy eating can make us feel lethargic and can increase depressive symptoms, and alcohol is a depressant. And so its job is to slow you down and numb out what you're feeling. And so this can also increase symptoms of depression. Another one which we have touched on is utilizing a lamp or a light therapy lamp. You could also travel somewhere sunny, open up the curtains more, and try to increase your exposure to light in your environment. One of the things is talking it out. So that's either working with a mental health professional, joining a mental health group, or staying connected with your own support group, turning to family and friends to help you be able to cope with what you're going through. Eating vitamin D rich foods. So like I said earlier, we get vitamin D from our exposure to the sun. And certain foods like eggs, salmon, and dairy products are good sources of vitamin D. You can also talk to your doctor about possibly taking a vitamin D supplement or other ways to increase the amount of vitamin that you're getting. And the last one is getting regular physical activity. With everything, we always hear this, you got to get out, you got to exercise, and it's true. So increasing your daily physical activity can improve your mood And if you like to get your activity outside, you're also able to get that light exposure as well. So this slide is a list of resources to help cope with seasonal depression. The first is a book of affirmations to increase positive thinking while going through difficult times. There's also the link for Psychology Today, which is a good resource for helping you find a mental health professional who can meet your needs. You can search for mental health professionals based on your location or insurance, and so that's a good resource to help you find what you need without overwhelming you. I also included a link for a Lightbox app, which is a free alternative to purchasing a Lightbox. I understand that not everybody is able to afford a Lightbox or light therapy lamp, and so having alternatives can possibly be helpful. Of course, talk to your doctor about what they think is best, or talk to your therapist. You can also buy those things online as well, such as from Amazon. I also included 2 podcasts. One is a personal account of somebody who's gone through seasonal depression and how they've coped, and the other hears from a professional in the mental health field. Lastly, there's the Mood Mission app. So this is a research-backed app which is designed to alleviate symptoms of depression. Alright folks, that is a wrap for today's video. I hope you enjoyed learning more about seasonal affective disorder and how to cope with those winter blues. Before you go, don't forget to hit that like button if you found this video helpful, or share with someone you feel may benefit from this information. We also love hearing from you guys, so drop a comment down below. Share your thoughts, questions, or even ideas for future videos. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to Nexus Youth and Family Services on YouTube for more mental health and wellness topics. Thank you for your time today, and until next time, take care.